that are associated with illegal connections. And there are also legal implications for being illegally connected to the grid. And that is why we have with us a member of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, Mr. Irving Bradshaw. I think you are Superintendent. I almost got the S correct. Superintendent Irving Bradshaw, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Wonderful, and it's a pleasure having you. And we're joined by, crowd favorite, Mr. Collin Williams, the metering manager at SKELEC, who is here, I'm sure, more times than he would like to be, but, he never really tells Miss Harris no, and I think he enjoys being here with me. So good morning, Collin.
Good morning, Miss Harris. Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you for welcoming me to this program again. And yes, illegal connections. I prefer that term than theft.
Okay.
So we will speak about that and why we should avoid it at all costs.
All right, so what is it? What do we mean when we say illegal connections? And perhaps you can tell me why you prefer that over electricity theft, because I think when people hear electricity theft, they know exactly what's happening.
Right. Electricity theft is when, for most of the persons worldwide, is when you connect to any electrical supply from a utility without their permission or knowledge, right? Why I prefer the illegal connection is that term puts to the forefront that you are also on the wrong side of the law. Some persons know that theft is not legal, but there are some persons who believe in a Robin Hood kind of situation, that the utility can afford it and that they won't miss it. I'm not taking that much. The illegal, and I will add non-standard connection, as you alluded to earlier, presents a safety concern to not only the person who is making that illegal or non-standard connection, but to any occupant of the property, any other user of the utility service alongside that connection, and finally and importantly, presents a safety hazard to our maintenance and metering crew that will work on the lines to ensure grid stability. And the final thing is that, yes, a connection that is non-standard could result in an outage that could also bring forth a catastrophic failure of a circuit, feeder, and in the worst case scenario, the plant. So the situation is such that this program, I hope, in the 30 minutes we're here, we will just make an impact on those persons who are thinking about pursuing that avenue, and for those persons who unfortunately have taken that step, that they would, and listen to me carefully, contact the customer service department so that the technicians that are properly trained and we have the proper tools that we can come and remove any such connections to ensure safety of property, lives, and the grid stability.
Thank you so much for that, Collin, because I want persons to fully understand that these connections are almost always unsafe and pose a hazard, and we are strongly discouraging you. And that's why we always invite a member of the police force to come with us to explain the applicable legal framework, the laws, why it is illegal for you to be connected to the grid in that manner. So, Superintendent?
Yes, good morning again. Firstly, it is illegal because it's against the law.
Very good.
Okay. So the St. Christopher Electricity Act, Chapter 16.01, Section 24, Subsection 1 states, any person who maliciously or fraudulently abstracts, causes to be wasted or diverted, consumes or use any electricity, commits an offense of larceny, and it shall be liable. You shall be liable on summary conviction to a fine of $5,000. The thing about this is, it's stealing. It is stealing. Right here, the word larceny means stealing. So, it is a criminal act, and it will be investigated by the Criminal Investigation Department.
So, from my knowledge, I'm pretty certain that your bill for a year, or even half a year, won't get you to $5,000. So, unless you have very extravagant lifestyles and large homes and different types of appliances. So, in my estimation, you would be better positioned if you connect to the grid legally, receive your monthly bill, than to have to be subject to going through this criminal investigation and then subject to a fine of $5,000. So, Superintendent, I want you to read it out again for the members of the listening public so that they can commit it to memory.
Okay. And that portion that I just read deal with a personal. Okay. Now, I have another portion, which is subsection 2, that deal with corporations. Okay, so I'm going to read over subsection 1 again. Any person who maliciously or fraudulently abstracts, causes to be wasted or diverted, consumes or uses any electricity, commits an offense of larceny, and shall be liable on summary conviction of a fine $5,000 and $100 for every day that the offense continues unabated, or to be imprisoned for a term of 2 years.
Wow.
That's a single person. That's an individual.
So there's a base rate and a daily rate that could be added on to it.
And now this is the corporation. Where electricity is fraudulently abstracted by a corporation, the corporation shall be liable to a fine of $10,000 and $225 for each day that the offense continues unabated.
So, Superintendent, from what you have been made aware of, do you find that there have been instances, at least, that have been brought to your attention of electricity theft? Because maybe persons might not be aware that it is actually happening here. It might be more common in some other islands. So if you can just shed some light as to the occurrences here from your knowledge.
Well, it has been happening.
Okay.
But over the years, we have seen a drastic decrease in such crime being reported. I think only of recent we had one report of such a case. And most of the time, though, which is sad, when persons found committing these offences, the persons who they're stealing the current farm, the electricity farm, they would want to go civil instead of taking it criminal. So I know back in my day, growing up, I used to see a lot of those things happening.
Wow.
My neighbors used to really come over without we knowing, and you see a car running through the bush, or over the skinny tree or something like that. But it has been, actually, the educational portion of this topic. It reached the public drastically, and we have seen a drastic change in such a crime.
That's wonderful to hear.
I want to dive into some of the particular terms that were put in the Act because the legal framers were working within the experience. No, diverting. Interesting enough, this is where this particular type of illegal connection is where neighbors are trying to help neighbors, but now you're diverting. If your neighbor is without power for legitimate reason, it is not within your right. It is not within the scope. It is not within the framework for you to help them with a drop card. Okay.
And Collin, I recall the last time we were on here and we spoke about that in particular.
Right.
Some persons still don't see it that way. Correct. They don't agree. They don't understand that that is illegal.
You're diverting. The circumstances of the disconnection persons oftentimes assume it's only financial, but we have disconnected customers because it's unsafe.
Yes.
Now, you not knowing that, you're providing them with a drop card. Now you are adding, now you become part of that unsafe connection. The electric connection is not just the connection to the grid, but the distribution within the homes. And we have had customers with electrical fault on the inside that force us to do the disconnection to allow them the opportunity to correct that situation, because it's affecting the grid and affecting others. Now you provide them with this drop card connection, and unbeknownst to you, you start seeing weird things in your home that you can't account for, and or you trigger the event that we were trying to prevent in your neighbor's home in the cause with your tenderness of heart, and you create a situation that is far worse. So I'm asking the public, do not do that. Under no circumstances. The truth of the matter is that drop card is not sized to provide power from your source to their home, and it is a safety hazard. Second thing, my personal experience coming here, because I followed the necessary protocol, I went to reconnect a customer only to find that their receptacle, because they're disconnected, that's supposed to be quote unquote unended, de-energized or dead, was actually fully energized. And if I had proceeded without the instrumentation, I would be at risk. We have linesmen that we operate and we work, and based on what we left in place, the line being disconnected, when we go there only to find it energized because of an illegal connection, and then we're at risk. The example that the superintendent brought forward, in their effort to hide the connection, I have seen somebody try to power a building on a phone line. The wire that goes from your outlet, it's not the phone jack, to the actual phone. That is what the person had. Yes, that is what the person had, because it's a conductor. That is what the person had running through a tree, just trying to hide. And we were more alarmed at the safety and the risk that they put themselves in than the theft itself. And then the final thing is, your connection is part of a circuit with your neighbors. When you make that illegal connection, because we have tools that are set to make sure the connection is properly done on the lines, you will have arcing. It's just a matter of time. It's too soon for me to even reference the fire, but just let's say fire. And we, unfortunately, based on recent events, fire can be destructive. It's unforgiving. Do not put yourself in that situation. Oftentimes, when we respond to a sighting or a report of an illegal connection, who we find on the scene will always claim that they don't know anything about it. It's not them. Don't allow anyone to put you at risk by making that connection. Come into SKELEC, let us talk about your situation, and something can be worked out in most instances to allow you to have what we call a standard, legal, safe connection.
Collin, we have spoken about the drop card.
Right.
But there are other activities that persons engage in that also qualify as illegal connections. The tampering of the meter is one.
Right.
I would like for you to explain more about that, because as we can see based on what you're saying, because my mind is still going on this telephone card, people are extremely innovative, they're extremely creative, they're ingenious. We say that innovation is the mother of necessity. So there's a need, and then we have this creation. But people are already thinking about the different ways and already engaging in the different practices. Let us set the record straight as to what exactly is considered as a part of illegal connections. We spoke about tapping into your neighbor's supply by way of the drop cards, whether it is known or unknown to your neighbor. That is an illegal connection. What are some of the other activities that would be considered that way as well?
Right. Any connection to the SKELEC infrastructure that is not done and authorized by SKELEC is illegal. So that is connecting it to the service line. Most of the times persons are connecting at the fuse point that is at the meter. And for the situation where the meter is accessible, persons are cutting the seal and going into the meter itself. We had a case where the person had the meter on their landing. They went into the back of the meter, bored the meter base. So this is someone who is clearly, there's intent there, put in separate wires on the SKELEC side of the meter to feed 3 ACs.
Wow.
The situation came to us when we got on the scene. Those cables were running at a temperature that it was only a matter of time. It was a matter of time before, and then the person was renting. So now the landlord now would be, if we weren't there at the right time and the meter readers was not observant, it was only a matter of time before you would have some electrical fault that then we are scrambling trying to figure out what is happening. We also have seen and discourage persons messing with other persons' construction supply. You know, the temporary supply that is there. Persons are trying to tap into that, and those tend to fail fairly quickly because they're specifically designed just to run power tools. It's not to live on. And then the final one is the one that scares me the most, is where persons, you have adjoining structures and persons are making the illegal connection by tapping into the panel. So the panels are close by and they're doing the electrical adjustment on the inside because the panels are close by, mostly in apartments and stuff like that. Those we cannot see because they're on the inside, but you see the effect on the outside, and it's just not safe. And I don't know how else to say it, because the team that I'm in charge of, we interface with the meter, we interface with the public, and I'm speaking on their behalf passionately to say, do not do it. Do not allow it to be done. And if there are any that you're aware of, please report to us so that we can arrest this unsafe situation, because once again, you are as a neighbor, you are also exposed. As a neighbor, you are also exposed to this unsafe situation. And then finally, the one I think that caused me the most concern was when the person, in trying to hide the illegal connection, went underground, not far enough.
Wow.
And it was discovered because somebody else, this poor fellow, was working in the yard, and it's not standard. So he's digging and he's working, he's not expecting, and he reported because he felt something. Luckily, it wasn't fatal, and then we had to really clamp down on that person because that was all the scenarios. They're dangerous, but that one was particularly so. So connection at the meter point without SKELEC permission, and the final thing, and this is one of those things that I'm going to be careful. My fellow electricians, you are not authorized, you are not allowed to make connection to an existing supply. You are not allowed to go in the meter base under any circumstances. That is the domain of SKELEC, and if you are found to do so, you are also at risk and on the wrong side of the law. So contact us. I know your clients might be pushing. Even if it's an emergency, we have an emergency team. Make the phone call, wait for us to come on the scene so that we can make sure that that connection is done safely, properly, and with and within the confines of the relationship that we have with the public.
Collin, thank you so much for being so comprehensive and explaining the different ways that persons can connect to our supply illegally. It's very important that we have an understanding. Superintendent, I want you to help us as we issue this clarion call, just to explain to persons who might not think that it's a big deal to engage in some of these activities, and also to help us to discourage individuals from engaging in these matters, not only because of the penalties, but because there's also a risk to life.
Okay, I think my brother here did a great job just explaining everything you just said. But just remember that when you're trying to steal, I'm going to use the word stealing because it's stealing. When you're trying to steal electricity, remember you might have a little child or family members who are young, running about the yard. Think about their safety. Think about their lives. Think about your neighbors as well. Because you may go on to work and your house got burned down.
Right.
Your children could be in the house playing and they couldn't get out the house. There's a lot of things you should be thinking about when you plan to commit these crimes. And I know we were not thinking about, you told me not to talk about the penalty, but the penalty is very serious. Because notwithstanding that, you have to pay all of these monies to the persons you're stealing electricity from.
Right.
But yet, that said person who you're stealing electricity from can turn around and sue you. So money is a big deal.
Yes.
Money is a real big deal. So please, let's go to the right way. As my colleague here just said, you go to call the customer service.
Right.
You know, go through the right procedures and get your electricity up and running. Don't try stealing anybody's electricity, please. For your own life, for your children's life, for your friend's life, for your neighbor's life.
And
thank you, Superintendent.
Coming on the heels of that, I was saving this section as hopefully the last statement. For those persons who we have a relationship along this line, now I'm using the word, I'm choosing my phrasing as best as I can. You seem to be in the habit of borrowing from SKELEC, right? We have some persons who we have gone to the site multiple times. The act speaks to an escalation of the fine in terms of the monetary value. I am asking all our persons who are tempted to repeat. Do not.
Collin, you're using a lot of words.
Yes,
you need to strongly discourage our listening audience.
Don't. By and large, when 99% of our public supports us, and most of the times, you know, they do the right things. I'm just focusing on the small grouping to try and just speak to them in a civil manner, because the aim is not punishment, it's reformation. I need you to reform, right? So we've had persons we disconnect. We start at the meter, you know, for whatever the reason. Then they reconnect. We disconnect at the pole. And this is the part that gets me. I don't know who is going up on the pole to reconnect these people, but I'm putting you on notice. Eventually, and for those persons climbing the pole, it's a lot of voltage up there, and by the grace of God, so far you have survived, but I wouldn't push it, and that will stop. Don't worry, we're getting there. We're going to get there. We have one instance where, for some reason, he couldn't understand, and we went as far away as from his property as possible, and he had to spend a ton load of money just to get the supply when he was ready to fall in line. we don't want to go there because we are your energy partner.
Definitely.
We're in this together, all right? And when you put the grid at risk, the supply, listen, I haven't had an angry call about an outage in a long time. Please don't add the complexity of illegal connections to what we have to do in terms of maintenance.
Well, Collin, I want to thank you for sharing that admonition, and thank you as well, Superintendent Bradshaw. We do have to wrap up this program this morning. We have been speaking in depth about the importance of ensuring that the consumers understand why they should not engage in any of these practices of illegal connections, because there is a great risk, and we want you to understand that the fine might actually be the easiest part of the repercussions. So I want you to consider all possibilities as it relates to this particular topic, and we look forward to you as the eyes and ears of SKELEC to provide us with information.
Yes.
Because you can be at risk if you're, as we mentioned, if your neighbor is stealing. So we need you to continue to be the eyes and ears and report to us. SKELEC also engages in some practices, I won't tell you what all they are, to see what's happening when we know for certain that person should not be on the grid. So I want persons to not think that you can get away. If you have been a part of this, don't think you can get away. And if you have gotten away, that you're going to get away for too long. So, Superintendent Bradshaw, thank you for joining us on this program this morning. And the metering manager, Collin Williams, thank you for joining us on here this morning. And as we wrap up this program, I'll take this opportunity to share with the listening audience that this will be my final Power Talk with you, as I will no longer be at SKELEC. I will be moving on, and it has certainly been a great opportunity to be able to share with you here on ZIZ Radio for the last 5 years. It has truly been very rewarding, very exciting. I've met so many persons, I've gained so many friends through this employment opportunity, and I know that this won't be the end. I am forever a part of the SKELEC family, and you are forever a part of me, to all of my very loyal listeners. So I take this opportunity to thank you for your support, and we'll see each other very soon. So for the last time, thank you for tuning into the Power Talk radio program this morning. Remember that SKELEC is the nation's leading utility provider, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Bye-bye.
Listeners, I'm Sean Gunner, Inspector of Water Quality. Basically, on a daily basis, my job would entail testing of water periodically. It's not every day you'd actually do an actual test. Inspection of the intakes, making sure that there's no blockage. We also do like pruning in certain areas, cleaning around the pump houses, the wells, so